Am I still in the frame? Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the training on Canvas we're going to have this morning. We're in the forum, and there's nobody here except for Anna. I won't be able to see anyone, so it'll be a little bit strange. I'm not used to conducting these live sessions, but we'll try to get through this the best we can. So what we're going to talk about is how to move our courses onto Canvas and how to prepare for what we need to do for the rest of the semester. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to go over it pretty quickly, and then we're going to just go ahead and move through the training, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end of the session. So I'm going to go ahead and start going through this slideshow, and hopefully you can see what's going on. We are the Distance Learning Department. My name is Fred Patrick. I'm a Distance Education Specialist. Mary Patrick is the Dean of Learning Resources, and we have Brian Dill, who is right now conducting the streaming in the back and taking care of all that and set up that for everyone today. And Anna Rice, who is over here and will be helping during the presentation. At the end of this presentation, we will we'll have a question and answer period. So if you want to ask a question that we can hopefully answer for you, go ahead and send Anna Rice an email. It's arice@hancockcollege.edu, and she'll take those, and at the end of this presentation, we'll try to answer some of the questions that you have. I know we shouldn't start this way, but this is an extraordinary event. We've been extraordinarily busy, and I know there are a lot of people I haven't been able to get to your emails, and even when I have, and the rest of us in our department, when we're replying to you, we're very short. It's not that we're mad with you. It's just that we need to move through this as quickly as we can. So for those of you who we haven't been able to contact or get back to or help individually, we apologize for that. We're doing the best we can. So where we are right now at this moment. When we found out about the situation, we went and took a look at the number of faculty who have been trained in Canvas. We have about 300 faculty who are currently teaching right now who have been trained in Canvas. Actually, there's a little bit of attrition there. But we know we do have about, and these are round numbers, 150 instructors who have not been trained in Canvas, so we don't know where they are. If they know nothing about Canvas, or maybe they're high-tech skilled people and they can use Canvas, we just don't know about it. So about 57%, almost 60% of our faculty should be able to move their courses and use Canvas in this distance learning modality for the rest of the semester with little to no trouble. But we do have about more than 40% of us that may struggle in trying to convert their course to online. And so that's what we're going to try to help you with today. One important distinction we need to talk about before we get started is we are not creating online courses. I know a lot of people know we're moving online, but we're not creating online courses, and there is a difference. Online courses are courses that were developed, designed, and have gone through the process to make sure they meet all the guidelines and policies for distance learning online courses. We're not doing that. We're not making our traditional face-to-face courses online. We're using distance learning tools to get us through this time. And I say that because I know a lot of you are working with your colleagues in trying to get help getting your courses on Canvas so you can finish your course and continue to meet the goals of your students and their educational goals. And a lot of what is out there is telling you how to create an online course. It doesn't need to be that comprehensive. What we're trying to do right now is provide the tools that allow you to communicate to finish your course. So again, it's not an online course you're creating. You're using distance learning tools to meet the needs that we have right now. Again, there's no need to panic. I hope what we show you today will ease your concerns about using some of these tools. They're really not that difficult to use, but that will depend on your level of technical expertise. If you do feel like you're not real comfortable with these things, please, as soon as you can, pair up with one of your colleagues who can help you through this. What we're going to try to do is show you 3 things that you can do in your Canvas course that will allow you to be available for lecture time, tell your students what they need to be doing between your lectures to prepare for the next lecture, and then how to send and receive assignments, tests, projects, activities, things like that. If we can get that information in a place like Canvas and you can still conduct your lectures, we'll be able to complete your course. What we want to do right now is keep it simple. Again, you could go in right now and watch webinars on how to create an online course. We don't have to do all of that. All we have to do is find the tools and use them as simply and basically as we can to continue conversations and communications with your students. There's not time in this session to answer specific questions about what you're doing in your course. As instructors and faculty, what we tend to do is take our knowledge and over years and decades develop lectures and courses in specific ways that we know meet the needs of our students. In doing that, they sometimes become a little bit complicated and there are a lot of pieces to it and they have to work in a certain way. If you're teaching a face-to-face class right now and you're moving to your information to Canvas, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to be able to use the tools as simply as you can, which means you might have to change what you've been doing. During this week, we're going to have all kinds of trainings. We have this training right now. We will have a training on Connects Ed, which will show you how to conduct a live lecture online. I think that starts at 1 o'clock. 1:30, thank you. We will also be offering some mentor sessions, and these are going to be kind of open office hours. So our hope right now is during the times you can see on the slide there, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, all the way from 6 to 8 in the evening. We're going to try to have virtual sessions where you can log in and get help from a mentor that is experienced in the use of Canvas and can help you with your questions. We've identified a few dozen faculty who are Canvas experts and experienced in the use of Canvas, and they will be taking that information and helping you during these sessions. Right now, we just have to find out who's available when, and as soon as we can, hopefully later today, we'll send you out a table with all these sessions, where they are, so all you have to do is click on that, and you'll be entered into that session. We will also be conducting department meetings virtually through the rest of the week, starting tomorrow, Wednesday, and I believe Thursday. So contact your department to find out when your department is scheduled to meet with us in the distance learning department, and hopefully we can answer your questions there also. So a couple of things about what we need to do right now. So we're talking about simplifying your course and finding ways to make these tools work so you can communicate with your students. So what do you have to do and what can you change? What you have to do is continue to follow the course outline of record. What's in the course outline of record, your objectives, the things that you say you will do, those things have to be followed. That cannot change. What can change is your syllabus. Your syllabus is how you plan the course before this whole thing happened. All of that might change. So in a way, you may have to throw your syllabus out the window. You may not be able to conduct your assignments and your exams the way you thought you were going to. We're going to have to change some of those things. So we want you to know that your syllabus can change, but the course outline of record and what you need to make sure you abide by should not change. So this is something we always talk about in an online class. And so most instructors that teach online will have in their syllabus or somewhere at the beginning of the class some information on technology, letting your students know that when you use an online class, your students are going to find times when the software doesn't work, when something breaks, when they don't have a connection. Usually we use this information to let them know that they should not wait till the last minute. If an assignment is due at Tuesday night at midnight, it's a good idea not to wait till 11:55 Tuesday night to hand in that assignment, because if that's when you do it, odds are your connection, that's when you're going to lose your connection, that's when something's going to break, that's when something's going to get glitchy. And we just want you to know that here. So you're going to be using technology that maybe you haven't used in the past to communicate with your students and provide information for your students. Sometimes it's glitchy, sometimes it doesn't work. Yesterday morning on Connects Ed, the whiteboard server went down for a short period of time. So if you were conducting a lecture, you wouldn't be able to use the whiteboard. These things are going to happen. We just have to find a way to roll with the punches. Also, the first week or two, we should expect a lot of problems because the internet servers, all these applications are ramping up and exponentially moving the number of users that they normally have. This is going to cause servers to crash and things to happen. So just be aware of that. It's happening to everyone. You may need to add additional people to your course in Canvas. There may be librarians, peer tutors, other instructors, faculty support. If that's the case, what you need to do is fill out a form where we can add the instructor to the course. And you get there by going to the My Hancock portal, logging in, clicking on Faculty Resources, and then clicking on the link to Canvas Add an Instructor. We just want you to know there are some qualifications that these people have to meet to be able to be put into your course. And the minimum qualifications are these people obviously need to be employed with Hancock and have an H number. That's kind of the first step. Especially like peer tutors, they have to be signed in and registered with HR, have an H number, and all kinds of different things. So if you need to add these people to your course, go ahead and submit the form. We'll add those people if we can. If there's something, regulation or something that we can't add that person to, we'll let you know, and we'll try to see what we can do about that. Okay, so time is short. Unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of spending a few weeks getting to know Canvas and the tools that we're going to be showing you today. So what we need to do is we need to show you the basic things that we think you can use to provide communication and contact with your students during this time. In fact, if you've taken Canvas courses here, trainings, professional development sessions before, if you watch what we're going to show today, you're going to say, that's not the way you showed us how to do it. That's because what we're doing today is we're just going to show what are the basic minimum features, things you need to do to work with your students. So if you know how to use Canvas, if you're anywhere between an intermediate and an expert user with these technologies, we're glad if you want to stay and watch this session, but it's going to be geared toward those people who have very little knowledge of this information and what they can do. In doing this, you're going to find that there are tools in Canvas and other products that we're going to be using that may or may not work with the style, the pedagogical style. And if that's the case, what you're going to have to do is probably change your style. You may not be able to create and conduct an assignment like you would like to do because the tools won't allow for that right now. So what you're going to have to do is, rather than trying to change the tool or make it work for what you're doing, you're probably going to have to change what you're doing to work with the tool. Also, if you have students, and so if your classes began at the beginning of the semester and we've already gone halfway through the course, you should know if you have any students in your course that are registered with learning assistants. If that's the case, what you need to do is contact Dr. Stephanie Crosby and get with her and find out what things you need to do to make sure your course is accessible to your students, and especially your students that are registered with learning assistants. Anything we do in the classroom or online must be fully accessible, and for that we need to make sure that our students who need us the most right now have the support that they need. All right, so we're going through this. We have this training. We'll have department trainings. We have the mentor sessions. Hopefully you'll pair up with somebody if you need a little bit of extra support. If you do feel lost, what you need to do right now is contact your department chair and say, this is going to be difficult for me. I haven't used these tools before. I'm going to need some help. And hopefully your department chair will be able to provide you somebody that you can team up with and somebody that can help you through this process. Also, as we go through this process, we're going to be talking to you about only the things that are absolutely necessary for you to conduct and continue to communicate with your class and provide lectures and do things like that. If you're already feeling lost, or by the end of this training you feel like you can do about 75% of what we talked about, you'll probably be okay. But if you're feeling lost already and you know this is going to be a problem, contact your chair immediately so we can try to find the support that will help you continue your course. So your students are going to need some help too. We're going to talk about what you're doing, but your students are going to need some help. And Kevin talked about this earlier. So I put this image up here. You can go to a website, and we should have, I think, the link in the description in YouTube, and go find all the hotspots that are in the area of Santa Maria. So that's just a little image. If you go to that, you'll see in Santa Maria there are dozens, if not hundreds, of hotspots that students can go to and get free internet access. We'll be sending more information out about that, so our students will be aware of it. And Xfinity isn't the only carrier that's doing this. There are several other carriers. So in terms of your students being able to access the internet, there are many, many opportunities for them to be able to do that right now at no cost. What we find is a lot of our students, and we do have probably a majority of our students, do use Canvas, either in their online courses or face-to-face courses that are supplemented with Canvas. We find, especially our younger students, use their phones to access Canvas. And I know Kevin had said this earlier, but we actually do know students here who actually do write their entire paper on their phone. I don't know why they do that, and I wouldn't encourage anyone to do that. But many of our students will be accessing this information simply from their phone. If that works for them, that's great. Most of our students, especially our younger students, are tech savvy with this kind of these products, so they know what to do. But you might want to encourage them, if at all possible, use a desktop or a laptop. One thing when we talk about your courses is, and I think there was a question earlier in Kevin's message, a question about exams, how will we be conducting exams? There are a lot of different things you can do in an online setting and using these distance learning tools to provide exams. But if you teach face-to-face classes and you're not used to this modality, you're used to coming in, passing out exams, having your student take it, and you are in charge of the room. You have control of what they have access to, where they are, and what information they can get. You can proctor the exam in the classroom. In an online setting, when you send an exam, it's totally different. They can access it from anywhere in the world. There can be all kinds of different people around them, and they'll have access to just about anything in the world. So you'll have to think about that. So one of the things you might have to do as you go through this process is think about, sorry, our lights are going. Our lights just went out. I hope we're still streaming. Okay, so everything should be good. It's just very dark in here right now. But your exams, you have to rethink about how you're going to design your exams so that your students can take them in a way that you want them to take them. So if, for example, you want your students to not be around other people or not have access to different types of information, we have all kinds of different things we can do for that. There's actually proctoring software in Canvas that will allow you to create machine-generated exams. So you can have them proctored in the way you'd like them to be proctored. But short of that, that's a little bit more of an advanced feature in Canvas and probably for only experienced technical users. What you're going to probably need to do is change your exams. So for example, in our online courses, a lot of times what we do is we kind of flip exams and homework. So you might hand out a quick quiz in your class, and it might be a multiple choice quiz, and you have your students take it. And then they do their assignment, you know, for homework or something like that. In an online course, what we do a lot of times is the exam becomes the homework. And the exam is not an assessment. It's simply making sure your students have gone in and become familiar with the material that you want them to become familiar with. So they have the opportunity to do these things and get that information. So you may want to change your exams to homework and make your homework, which is usually something about your students, you know, writing more, you can specialize it and make it specific for them and be able to change the way they have their exams. All right, so you're going to ask the question, okay, I get all that, I can get on Canvas, I can do these things, but I've got to do my lecture online, and I've never done that before. Well, the good news is almost none of us have. We, I think, open up about 175 sections every semester of online courses, and I don't know of any that regularly have online streaming. So even for those of us that have been doing online courses for decades, this is going to be new to all of us. We want you to know that you have several options, and they talked about this in the earlier session too. We have ConnectEd, there's Zoom, there's YouTube. There are a lot of products out there that you can use to stream your lectures live, and you can use any of those that will work for you. We just want you to know that we are going to be training you on ConnectEd, and that's the software that we're going to support for several reasons, and we'll talk about that later. So one of the ways you're going to have to communicate with your students, or you can communicate with your students, is using the email feature. You're just using email. And I know most of us, even if we're not online users or very tech savvy, most of us get emails from our students asking questions and reply to that email, and we go back and forth and have conversations that way. But some of you might not know how to get a list of all your students' emails and send out an email to the entire class. So I just wanted to know real quickly, probably the easiest way to do that is to log into my Hancock, and on that first home page there, if you scroll down, there'll be a heading for rosters. If you go there and click on the search class rosters, the middle image there will pop up, and there you want to select Spring 2020 and then click on the Set Term button over on the left side of that, or I'm sorry, the right side of that image. And then in the final image over there, this page will pop up. At about the middle of the page, there's a place that says Fastlane, enter CRN. Go there, type the CRN of the course that you want the email addresses for your roster. Check the check mark for email class just to the right of that, and then click the submit button. I would show you this, but in showing you this, I would have to display the list of people in a course, and I don't want to do that online. So I'm just showing you how you can do this. If you don't know how to do this, I would think most of our faculty are comfortable doing it with this. Get with somebody and find a way that they can help you do this and get your email. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to Canvas, and we're going to show you what we want to do there. We're going to tell you what Canvas is. I think most of us have a pretty good idea of what it is now. We're going to log in, talk about the dashboard, and then we're going to go to the classroom and show you what you can do to set your class up and communicate with your students. So let me get out of this real quick, and I'll bring up a browser. We suggest that you use Google Chrome for several different reasons. But if you're in Canvas itself, you can use Chrome, Firefox, or Edge, but it seems to work better in Chrome. So what we need to do is we need to get to Canvas, and that's easy to do. Go to the Hancock College website. Did I spell that right? I think I typed that in. Okay, like we talked about glitches, we have a glitch. I'm either typing that in wrong, or I don't have a connection. I'm going to get a little bit of help here. Hold on. Okay, we're back. I hope this works. Okay, so now we're at the Allen Hancock website, hancockcollege.edu. And when you go there, we now have the announcement at the top of the page. But over at the right, there's a link to My Hancock. Click on that link, and the login page will pop up on a new tab. You need to type in your username and password here and click Login. If you don't know or can't remember your username and password, there are links over here to Forgot Username and Forgot Password. And that you can go in there, fill out your name and email, and you'll be sent an email with information on how to retrieve your username and password. But I know mine, so I'm going to type it in real quick, and I'm going to type in the password and click on Login. And it's not working. I'm typing too quickly here. There we go. So if you type it in correctly, this is the Hancock page. I'm sorry, I wanted to go to My Hancock. Hold on, let me try this again.
Just clear out the alerts.
Okay, I'll clear out the alerts. Normally what happens is when you click on the My Hancock button tab, and we went to another website to get there quickly because we were having a glitch, you'll go to the My Hancock portal. And on that page there will be an icon at the top of the page that says Canvas with an icon with the Canvas logo. Click on that and that'll send you to the Canvas website. And so here we are. When we logged in first, we saw the announcements that are going on. That happens now and then. We put announcements at the top of the page for the institution and for students. So we've just deleted those, and now we're on the dashboard page. This is the page that you'll see when you log into Canvas, and it'll have your courses there in those little boxes. So there's a green box, a blue box, and some other things. Now I'm an administrator, so there's a couple more buttons that I have on here that you won't see, but you'll see pretty much the same thing. Before I get off the dashboard page, I just want to tell you one thing. For each course, you can see I can click on these little three-dotted icon for that course, and it's going to give me the option to change the color and actually the title for that course. I just want you to know this. That will change it when you look at it, but it won't change it when your students look at it. So just because this course I'm looking at right here has a green card does not mean that my students will see a green card. They'll see have them look for your class and the title of the course because they can change the color also. So I'm going to get off that, and we're going to go ahead and click on the course and go inside and take a look at what a Canvas classroom looks like. Now I've been working on this off and on and working with people to do things, so what I think might show up and what might show up might be different, so I might have to go through this a couple of times. But when you click on a classroom, here over on the left side of the class, we have the course menu. And you can change this, and we think you should. A lot of these options you probably will not be using. In fact, if you look to the right of some of these options, there's a little symbol letting us know that this is disabled, meaning I have access to it, but my students are not going to see this. We can change our course menu very easily. If I scroll down to the bottom of the menu and click on Settings, and as an instructor you should always have the link to Settings in your course menu, you can go in and change the course menu. We've clicked on Settings, and this is the page that comes up. Go over and click on the Navigation tab, and here's our menu. The items in the course menu that show up in the top will be available for students. They'll be able to see those things. The items below that will not be available. So we want to modify this a little bit. The ConnectEd link will probably be in your course. I've purposely disabled it so you can see how you can enable it in your course. And all you have to do is go down to the button you want to enable and have students have access to, click on it, and drag it up to your course menu and place it wherever you want it to be. Now also, there are a lot of buttons in here that I'm not going to use. I'm not going to use discussions, quizzes, chat. Well, I probably will use chat. But the buttons I'm not going to use, I'm going to go ahead and just drag down below, making them unavailable for students because in this course they're not going to need access to these things. That works pretty good. I'll leave it there, and then when you're done, scroll to the bottom and click on Save. Once that's saved, your course menu will show up the way you'd like it to show up. And again, you will have access to see all of these buttons, but all of those items in your course menu that have the icon over on the right with a little line through it are unavailable to your students. So we've changed the course menu. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the home page, and we'll talk about that. If you haven't used Canvas before, what we're going to do now is try to run through how to create modules and add items to a module so you can communicate with your students and use that to organize your course. Now there are several ways you can have your home page displayed in Canvas. You have the option, if you go over here to the right and click on Choose Home Page, you can choose to have a course activity stream. You can make it a page that you create, the modules page, which it is right now defaulted to, and your classes should have that as the default home page, and other options. But we're going to go ahead and leave it the modules page because that's what we're going to work on. The modules page is a place of a feature in Canvas where you can create links to all the different things in your course and communicate it and have your students see what they need to do and walk through what you want them to do synchronously. Or, I'm sorry, yes, so, I'm sorry, I'm forgetting my words here. But what I want to do is, it's kind of difficult to explain what the modules page is. I'm just going to go ahead and create some modules and show you how it works, and then we'll add the items to the module there. So this is how, usually when you're in Canvas, if you're going to create something new, there's usually a big blue button at the top right part of the screen, and here's our big blue module button with the plus sign. I'm going to click on that, and a box will open up, and I can give this module a name. So I can type in week, I guess we'll be in week 9 officially, and we could put the dates there. There's one with dates. Are those, I don't know if those are the correct dates or not. So don't, I'm not sure those are the correct dates, but I think that would be when we start back. And we could say, we could just leave it at that. And I'm going to click on Add Module, and you'll see the module pops up in the course. So we've created a module in Canvas, and it's there. Now, just to show you how easy that is, we can create another module. Let me create another one here, and we'll make it week 10. If there's something in here, I can use these dates also. There's module for week 10, and again, I don't know if these dates are correct, so let's do another one. And there's some dates here. So that quickly, we've added 3 modules to the course. Our suggestion to you is that we know we all have different ways in which we organize our course, by chapter, by unit, by theme. If you're putting your information on Canvas for the first time, our suggestion for you, just to clarify for yourself and for your students, is to create modules by week or whatever time frame works for your class, just so your students know during this time period I need to be doing these things. So the first thing we need to do is start adding some things to our modules. And let's go to the first module. And if we want to add something to a module, we click this plus sign in the module right here. I'm going to click on that, and a box pops up. What's in this box is every link that's in this course. So if I have any assignments, pages, discussions, quizzes, any of those things, I can add links to so my students can get to them from this modules page. But we really don't have much in this course right now. We just want to add a text header. So I click on this drop down here, go down to text header, and we can type maybe we want what we want our students to do right now. So I'm going to ask my students to read chapter, well, how about we have them read sections 3, 4, and 5 of chapter 14. I need them to have read this information before the lecture. So I click the box, Add Item, and now in our module, our students will see week 9, March 30th, they need to read sections 3, 4, and 5 of chapter 14. So now you can tell them what information they need to become familiar with. Now we need to post a link to the lecture that we're going to conduct, or the lectures we're going to conduct this week. And that's actually a lot easier to do than you think. So we're going to show you later today how to use ConnexEd. When you create a meeting in ConnexEd, you're going to be emailed a link to that meeting. And it's going to say, click on this link at this time, and you'll be able to enter the meeting. So I've already done that, so I hope this is okay. I'm going to change this again. I think I have a link down here. This is the link to a meeting. I'm going to copy that and go back to Canvas. And now I'm going to add that link to our module. And again, to add something to a module, just click on the plus sign of the module. You'll have the ability to add the link. Now we're not going to add a text header. What we're going to add is called an external URL. URL stands for Universal Resource Locator. What that means is, what is the web address of the website you want to go to? So Google.com or Amazon.com are URLs. So we're going to select external URL. I'm going to paste that link here in the back text box for URL. There it is. And now I can give it a name. So I can say, here is the link for Tuesday's lecture, and it's, we'll say it's from 9 to 11, whenever your class meets. And when I We also probably want this link to open up in a new tab so it doesn't open up inside of Canvas so students have access to it. If you want to do that, go ahead and click on the Load in a New Tab button there. And then click on Add Item. Now our students know what to read, and they also have a link to the lecture that's going to be this week. Now, during the lecture, I might tell my students about assignments that they're going to be doing this upcoming week or materials that they need to have read. And probably the easiest way for me to get them that information is just to send them an email. In that email, I can put whatever I want. So I could review the lecture, I could add attachments for files for assignments or any additional resources for the students, and I can tell them what to do for next week. So what I'm going to do is add one more text header to this module. I'm going to click the plus sign. Now I'm going to go back to text header and just type in check email I'll be sending shortly for assignments and information. Typing those things in wrong, that's okay. So I add that item to the module, and now when my students come to Canvas, if they log in, they know what they should have read and done and be familiar with before they participate in the lecture. They have a link to the lecture to be able to go to it and watch it when it occurs. And then I've also told my students that they need to check their email because I'll be sending you information that you need to do moving forward. We're thinking this is probably the simplest way to set up your Canvas course if you haven't done it before. There are tons of other tools in Canvas that you can use, but if you're unfamiliar with Canvas, this is our suggestion. Now, one more thing I want to talk about is what you can do with these modules. Now, maybe I want them to check their email before the lecture. If I want to do that, I can simply click on these dots over to the left of the menu item in the module and drag it up here. And now I've reordered the module. So you can reorder. Maybe I want to go back and change those spellings that I messed up on. If I click on the little three dots over here on the right, I can edit this and go back and find my misspellings and try to correct them. I can also delete anything here, whether it be a module item or the entire module itself. So you can work on these things and set them up and get them ready, move them around. Even when you're reordering, you can move module items to another module if you'd like to do. Move that down here, and now that if I've put it in the wrong module, it's that easy to move it to the right module. Also, it's important to note that whenever you want your students to see something in Canvas, it needs to be published. And you'll know something is published when you see the little green icon next to it. None of these things are published because I haven't clicked on them. So if I click on these items, these are now published and students will be able to see them. If I click on the and also remember you need to publish the module or they won't be able to see the module or any of its contents. So I'm going to click on that icon right there, and then I've set up a module and my students can see it. Now, before I open up my class for my students to come in, I want to see what it looks like to make sure that it makes sense and everything's working the way I want it to work and looks the way I want it to look. That's easy to do. We're on the home page. We can click on the student view link over here on the right side. And if you click on this, you'll see the class the way your students are going to see the class. You can see it's much simpler. If we look at the course menu now, we just have the course menu items that we want them to see. They don't have that big long list of items that they don't have access to. We only published the one module and its items, so that's the only thing the student's going to see. So you'll be able to take a look at your course and see whether or not it's working the way you want it to. I'm going to go ahead and click on Leave Student View, and I'll go back to the Instructor View. If the course is set up correctly, and you're ready to let your students in, you need to publish the entire course. Once you publish the course, your students will be able to access your course. And again, it's just clicking one button. On the home page, up here in the upper right corner is a link to publish the course. When I click on this, and wait for a second. Now that published button has turned green and it's letting me know that the course has been published and my students can see it. We're thinking this might be the easiest way to work through the modules to provide communication with your students as we go forward. Like we said, there are a lot of other tools that you could use and hopefully you will use, but we're thinking this is enough to provide the communication along with your live lectures that your students will need. Oh, you know what? I forgot one more thing. There's actually a synchronous feature inside Canvas that works very well, and it's the chat feature. So I'm going to go back to the course menu, make that available, and show you how that works. So again, go to the bottom of the course menu, click on Settings. When that comes up, we want to make sure we're on the Navigation tab, and then we need to find Chat and make that available. Am I missing something here? There it is, at the very bottom. Okay, so I'm going to drag this all the way up and make it available in the course. This way, students will have access to it. Don't forget to scroll down and click Save. And now that we've done that, the chat option is available in the course menu. If I click on Chat, it's just like most of you are familiar with chat. It brings up a page, and again, here we go, here's a glitch. So right now, it appears that the chat feature is not working. I wish I could show this to you, but I can't. But this is what's going to happen in our courses as things are happening. This is a glitch. We just got to find ways to work around these things. The chat feature is very nice because it just gives you a text box. Here go our lights again. It gives you a text box where you can type in your information, hit send, it pops up, and anyone who's in your course who has clicked on chat will have the ability to see that chat, and they can type in information. And we think this is a great feature to use whenever you're online. You can go to the chat feature in your course and let your students know you're there. Maybe you could send out an email and say, at this time, I'm going to be in the chat feature in Canvas if you have any questions. So your students can go back and forth to you there. I believe that's all we were going to be able to talk to for Canvas for right now. If I can go back to our slideshow, there are a couple more things we need to talk about. Is that working, Brian? Okay. So we've talked about these things. Hopefully, I know I ran over these really quickly. Again, we're just kind of walking through this so you can see this. There's information in the description to a Google site page that we created with tons of links to walk through videos just like these that are probably a lot more helpful than this, and other information, the Canvas guides, to help you get through this. That's the chat feature in Canvas. You make that available, and whenever you're online and you click on chat, you'll be able to communicate by typing back and forth with your students in the course, which is a great feature, something we encourage you to use. Again, you could use this for an office hour. You don't have to set up a ConnectEd meeting every time you're going to meet with your students. If you want to do that, great. But you also could let your students know that from this time to this time, you'll be at the chat in the Canvas course, and they can contact you there. We don't have time to talk about some of the additional features in Canvas, but Pages is a feature in Canvas where you can go and create content for your course. So imagine it like taking the Word documents that you've created in your class over the years and putting them in Pages on Canvas and making them available there. You actually can create assignments in Canvas, so your students, rather than emailing you back their assignment, you could create an assignment in Canvas and have them submit it to you in Canvas. And if you use that, it will be working in coordination with the gradebook, and you can use a speed grader, which is a great feature. And if you're interested in trying maybe those things, go to the links below and try, look at the assignments, the gradebook and speed grader. Also, there's a files option in the course menu that allows you to upload files. So if you have all kinds of files that you use for your course and your students need access to them, you can use the files page. Also, there's a Canvas inbox. And we didn't show this, because our assumption is you either use it in your courses and that's how you're going to use it, or you use email with your students. But if you use email and you go back and forth with your students, that works fine. We just want you to know within Canvas, over on the left side, there is a Canvas inbox that allows you to send messages to your entire course. All the students in your roster. What's nice about that is you can set those. It's much easier to use than going to email and getting that list and sending it that way. The only thing is, if you're going to use this feature, you need to make sure that your students are aware of this, and that's how you'll be communicating back and forth. So you'll want to make sure that you know your student population and whether or not that will work for them. Some of you wondering how your students are going to get to Canvas. They get to it the same way, although ours was a little glitchy and messed up today. They'll go to hancockcollege.edu, click on the My Hancock portal, log in, and once they're logged into the Hancock portal, they click on the Canvas icon, and they'll have their Canvas shell pop up, and you just tell them to click on your course, and that's how they get there. So if you're not used to these things, we encourage you to go in right away and start playing with them. Log into Canvas, all your shells should be there. So every class, if you've never logged into Canvas before, the first time you log in, you'll log into Canvas, your dashboard page should show you all the different courses that you're teaching right now, and you can go into those courses and start working on them. Go in, and if you're, maybe try to create some modules, add the items to the modules and do those things there. And if you play with this a little bit, I think in a short time you'll be surprised how familiar and comfortable you get with using this. Our students usually grasp these technologies much quicker than we do. So your students probably, not all of them, but the majority of your students will probably be able to access this information probably more readily than we do. Remember to contact your department if you need help. Hopefully your department chair will be able to pair you up with someone to help you through this process, and we are going to be having department meetings tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, I believe. And those will be virtual. We'll be sending out links for those. Pay attention to your chair's emails. They'll be sending out an email to you shortly letting you know when this is going to occur. And hopefully if you have questions, you can come to those and then ask questions at your department meeting that will hopefully be more specific and help you through that time. Also remember, we have the mentor sessions that we'll be sending out an email hopefully later this afternoon that will let you know that during these periods of time we will have virtual meetings that you can click on and attend a meeting and ask questions of somebody who is experienced in using Canvas and can help you with these things. Okay, that's it. So we have a little bit of time. If we could go ahead and maybe answer some questions. If anybody sent any questions to Anna, she'll let us know and we'll do our best to answer them.
So good morning, Fred. We have a few questions. One of them is there a way to open a Canvas chat for all students, not just one in the class?
I don't believe so. You might be able to do that, but I don't believe you can. So you will probably have to go to the specific course at a specific time and let your students know you were there. They have to go to Canvas and click on the course also, click on the chat for that course. You both have to be on chat in that course at the same time to be able to communicate.
Okay, so another question that we have is, should students be required to attend? If so, for those who can't attend, can we require them to watch the video and complete an activity? Right,
so that's up to you. That's all up to however you conduct your courses. So when you go to a lecture, we'll see in the training later today in Connects Ed that you'll have a list of the people who have attended or are there, and you can take a look if you want to do attendance that way. You also will be able to record your lectures in Connects Ed, the chats and everything that happens, and be able to post those later on so students can watch them. And that's a great feature because you can get that set up for your students. If exactly like you said, if they can't attend, they can watch it later on. And we'll be showing you how to do that. But again, attendance, other than positive attendance, if it's not positive attendance, you have to, I guess, do attendance. I've never had a positive attendance class. But you would just continue to use attendance like you normally do.
Okay. The next question is about department meetings. Will the Public Safety Training Department have a meeting as well?
You know, I hope you were on the list. I can't remember if you were, but thanks for letting us know. We'll go back and check that and make sure you are on the list for that.
And then another one is about department meetings. What does this refer to, and is this all of my new department Canvas portal? Is that on the new Canvas portal?
Yeah, so we didn't talk about this, but we created a department Canvas course. So you as a department can have a place to communicate. Go on to Canvas, click on that, and there's a place for you all to communicate on what's going on right now. That's not what we're talking about. That's another place for you to work with your faculty, to other instructors, to make sure you're getting things done. The department meetings are something that we're simply scheduling this week to provide a time for your department to hopefully answer questions much more specific to your needs as a department. We know there are different needs in different departments and even within disciplines. So we're trying to schedule department meetings to be able to answer more specific questions to the needs that you'll have.
There's also a question about maybe we should let people know about Net Tutor and Smart Thinking.
Yes, absolutely. So when I went into my Canvas course, I broke down and you saw we changed the course menu so there were only a few buttons there. Two of the buttons that you have the ability to put into your course are Smart Thinking and Net Tutor. And we suggest that even if you don't use those in your course, that you make them available for students. Both of those links in your Canvas course menu will send students to a place where they can get tutoring, online tutoring and support and help. So even if you're not going to use those, it's a good idea to make Smart Thinking and Net Tutor available in your course menu, and we highly suggest that you do.
It's also stated that we will continue with online tutoring through AHC as well, through our tutoring service.
Right. So tutoring service is still providing and is doing everything to ramp up online tutoring. So we're doing everything we can to support your students' tutoring needs. And I'm assuming we'll be getting more information about that shortly, about how your students can access that.
I got a question about apps. People are trying to add apps.
Oh, okay. My suggestion is, if you haven't used Canvas, if you're not a very experienced user in Canvas, stay away from the apps. The apps can do a lot of strange things in Canvas. If you would like to use the apps, and if you don't know what they are, don't even worry about it. It's better for us, those of us who don't know about them, just go ahead and stay away from the apps. But if you would like to add apps to your course, please contact us first. Oh, sorry about that, touched my mic. So you know, so we can let you know whether or not that will work. But our suggestion right now is, if you haven't used an app previously and you know it works, don't use it. Stay away from the apps. If you find something you do want to use in your Canvas course, please contact one of us in the distance learning department so we can let you know whether or not that's going to work.
Can we have multiple classes open at the same time for that chat feature?
That's a great question. I think you can. So you could have multiple tabs open and be going back and forth and chatting between those different classes.
We're getting asked about quiz features, but I think that's more of an advanced feature right now.
Right. Just so you know, there is a quiz section in Canvas that you can go in and create quizzes. If you feel comfortable, we suggest doing this, because that way at least you know you have a little bit more control over how your students are presented with the material in the quiz. It's something that's a little more difficult. It's something probably, if you would like to use and you're new to Canvas, you're new to a lot of these different things, we would suggest, hopefully we'll maybe have some trainings on specific areas like that in the upcoming weeks, and we'll try to provide those as soon as we can if you would like to use the quizzes feature.
When we post an announcement in Canvas, does it automatically email students?
It depends. There are a couple different things that have to be set up. So there's a place in Canvas called Notifications and Settings. And there, each individual who uses Canvas can set up how they will receive their notifications in Canvas. So, for example, students can go in and say, every time there's an announcement sent, I would like to get an email. I would like to get a message for that right away. They actually can get an email or a text depending on how they set that up. And unfortunately, we couldn't cover that right now. But you might want to go there, click on your account, click on settings, and go to notifications. You'll get a page showing you, for all these different things that happen in Canvas, how would you like to be notified? You can be sent an email, you can be sent a text, depending on how you set up your communications. And again, information for these features are in the Canvas instructor guides. So there should be a link there, and hopefully we'll get you that information so you can have access to that.
We've gotten several requests about the course merging classes.
Okay, so the course merge is something we do in online classes. So if you're teaching an online class and maybe you have 3 sections of the same class, sometimes we merge all those courses together so that rather than updating 3 courses every time you do something, you only have to update 1 course as you're going through the course, and you just have a lot more students and you separate them into groups and you work with them that way. Course merging in face-to-face courses is not going to work the same way for the reason that we're trying to do our best to continue to meet with students at the specific assigned time that we agreed to at the beginning of the semester. So if we were to merge face-to-face courses, what's going to happen is it's going to make it a lot more difficult to create links to students and have students know where to go and where to be there when you're conducting your live lecture. So for this reason, and I'm not sure if I can remember the wording, maybe you guys can help me out, we're kind of not doing course merge for face-to-face courses, but if you feel like you have a specific need because of your course type or your discipline or the way you conduct your course to merge your courses, talk to your dean and see what we can do about doing that. But for the most part, we will not be doing course merges for face-to-face courses.
And then there's another one that says announcements feature still going out to the students. So I think they're asking, are all announcements and all emails still going out to students? As of right now, nothing has changed. They're still going out to students.
Right, yeah, right? Nothing's changed at this point. So if it's sent to all students, it's still going to all students.
How is the Canvas discussion feature different than the chat feature?
The discussion feature is simply not synchronous. So you can go into the discussion feature in Canvas, which is a great feature if you want to use in your courses, and you can type in a prompt where you want your students to respond to it in some way. The students can go in at any time, click on reply, and type in their response. They can type as much as they want. They can type in 2 words or they can type in 3 pages of information. And then other students can reply based on the settings that you set up to that, but it's not synchronous. So I might go in and see that several people have posted to a discussion board. I might go in at a different time, maybe later that night, and I can post something, and then students can come in at different times and read it. So the only difference is a discussion board is not synchronous, which in some ways is a great feature because it requires students to stop, think, and write. So if that works for your class, that's great. The chat feature is more for kind of quick conversations that you're going to have when you want to do it at the same time synchronously.
Here's a good question about the chat feature as well. When using the chat in Canvas, if students are on at the same time and I am not, do they correspond? If so, is there a way I can see their conversation?
I believe they can. I'm not sure, and I hope you'll notice one thing that we're finding out now is we've taught online at this campus for I think more than 20 years. We've done a lot of different things, but we rarely do synchronous, use synchronous tools. Most of what we do, especially in online or Canvas face-to-face supplemental class, is not synchronous. So these are new tools to us. I don't know, Brian, do you know if that's the case or not?
You know, we just don't use it enough.
Right.
And I don't know. We can try.
We're not sure. I guess this is at best speculation on our part. I think it does. I think if 2 students are in the course and they click on chat, they'll be able to chat together. We're not sure.
But we don't know if the instructor will be able to see it after the fact.
Right, and we don't know if you'll be able to see it. I think you would. Most of what happens in the chat is saved, and the instructor has the ability to delete different chats and things like that. My assumption is that they can, and you'll have access to it. But to be honest, we don't know.
So we're getting a question about, is there for the Connects Ed, is there a limit on how many people can join? And again, are they required to use Connects Ed or Zoom?
Okay, so there is a limit, and it's 100. So for most of our classes, we're going to be fine. You can set up a Connects Ed meeting and invite as many as 100 people to the meeting, and I think that will take care of most of our classes here. And in terms of using Connects Ed or Zoom or something else, you can use whatever you want. You don't have to use Connects Ed. The reason we're suggesting that is Connects Ed is integrated into Canvas. You can simply put the link in your course menu. Students can click on it right there. There are a couple other reasons. It produces machine-generated closed captioning. It's not perfect, and it probably doesn't meet our accessibility requirements. But in a case like this, where we're kind of creating things through triage, we're going to do the best we can, and ConnectEd provides us that best captioning that we have. Again, it's not everything we want, but it's better than anything else. Also, just for continuity for our students, if most of us are using ConnectEd, if it will work for you, we suggest go ahead and use that, because then your students who are in different classes can become more and more familiar with it. If they have this class using ConnectEd and another class using Zoom and another class using something else, that can be that'll be confusing to the student. So as much as possible, we would like to steer you to that. Also, again, these tools are new to us. We received the component for classrooms in ConnectEd last week. We don't do a lot of synchronous online streaming in our courses. This is all brand new to us. So the distance learning department, we can support you in ConnectEd because we're kind of with you learning this right now. But we can't support you if you're going to use something else. So you can use something else, but for those reasons, we would suggest you use ConnectEd if it works for your class.
The chat feature, actually, an instructor can go back indefinitely to look at history of chat. So that leads me to believe that if two students get in there and the chat is enabled, they'll be able to chat back and forth, but the instructor is able to go back and look at all the chat history.
Good. Okay, so yeah, so you do have access to all the chat history. So if students are in your class and they're chatting away and you're not there, at least you'll have the ability to go back and look at it, if they can do that.
As a faculty person, can we make copies of our course and give to other faculty?
Absolutely. You can share whatever you want to share. We encourage that right now. So if you have other faculty, especially in your department or anywhere else, that could use your help, you can copy aspects to your course. There's different ways you can do that. You can create a file where you can download that file and give that file to somebody else, and they can use it to upload it into their Canvas course. You can help them do that. But if there's any materials that you want to share with your colleagues, I would suggest go to your department website, your department Canvas shell, and let the faculty in your department know about that they'll have this information. Brian wants to say something.
If you're going to use if you're going to export content out of your course, you can go into the export area and just choose the content you want to share. You may not want to share all of it, but just certain parts of it. So when you create that export, just make sure that you choose the option to choose content to export.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. Thanks for bringing that up, because that's really important, because when you export a course, and exporting a course means you're taking all the settings and all the material and everything you've done for that course, and you're going to put it in a big giant data file. When you do export a course, like Brian said, you have the option of selecting only the material that you want instead of choosing the whole class, and that'll be really helpful for the people that you're going to want to give that information to.
Is there any suggestions on how people are doing lab classes?
I'm sorry. I don't know what's happening there. I know in classes where we have traditional face-to-face labs, I know instructors are working on ways of getting those things running. I'm not sure what they're doing, but again, go to your log into Canvas, click on your department course, and hopefully there's information there, and then contact your chair to see what's going on there.
Thank you. We have quite a few of those. Canvas tool. I think a lot of people are asking about just the different tools, to use in Canvas, and then the to-do list on the navigation, and the to-do in Canvas, the navigation area. Isn't that where they have to make that active?
I don't know. But in terms of the other features in Canvas, like we talked about, there's assignments, there's discussions, there's quizzes. There are all kinds of things you can do. We are encouraging you to use any of these features that will support you in this time. We're simply not covering them right here because we don't have time for that. If you would like to know more of them, we have more about those. We have links in the description, I believe here, or just go into Google and type in Canvas Instructor Guides, and there will be a page with just about everything you'd want to do in Canvas and broken down by different types. So assignments has a section and it says, how do I create an assignment? How do I edit an assignment? How do I grade an assignment? All of that will be there. So if you want to use any of these features in Canvas, we encourage you to do that. And if you need some help and we're not around or somebody's not around, go to the Canvas instructor guides, and odds are there'll be a page that will walk you through that information. You also have a help support link in Canvas over on the left side in that green menu over there. If you click on help, there's a chat feature still available, I believe. And we do know there's an 800 number you can call and get support to help you through this also. That usually works well. We get good feedback. Faculty tell us that those things work very well. It's just right now there's so much going on, there might be a lot longer wait than there normally is. They usually get those pretty quickly, but in the last couple of weeks, I'm sure that time has extended. But if all else fails and you need some help, click on the help button in Canvas and talk to somebody there.
If you do wind up needing help and you call that number, if you're on hold for, I don't know, over a certain amount of time, they'll actually give you the option of leaving your phone number and they'll call you back. And I got a call back. I was on this weekend, got a call back probably about an hour, but there were like 50 people ahead of me, so yeah. It could be a long wait.
Yeah, it could be a long wait, but that's a really helpful feature because Brian, Anna, and I, we're in meetings all the rest of this week and most of the rest of next week. We're going to be able to offer very little support one-on-one. So your colleagues, especially in your department or any other colleague that can help you, and getting help from Canvas, the 1-800 number on the website will also be very helpful.
We might want to mention again for accessibility that they need to contact the learning assistants.
Right. Hopefully you know if you have students in your course that are registered with Learning Assistant. If that's the case, please contact Stephanie Crosby to make sure that what you're putting in Canvas will be accessible. They're trying to pair up different signers for different classes and things like that. So we're trying to coordinate all of that right now. There's actually a feature in Canvas we might be able to turn on that will help with that process, and we're going to be working on that today. But just as you do in class, and we talk about this a lot of times in online courses, because when we have an online course where everything we're posting is on a computer, so the information that we post has to be accessible. So every video that you post needs to be closed captioned, because if it's not, you're breaking a Chancellor guideline. But interestingly enough, we don't think that a lot of times, sometimes in our face-to-face courses. So a lot of times we show maybe a part of a documentary in our class. We don't always think that needs to be closed captioned. It's actually illegal for us to show that without closed captioning. So if you have students in your course, especially if you have students in your course that are registered with Learning Assistants, please contact Stephanie. And also remember, anything you're putting on Canvas, and again, we encourage you to use the other features and post as much information that is beneficial to your students as possible. It's just important for us to realize that all of that information needs to be accessible, meaning a student maybe who can't hear or poor vision can still work with the material in the same way anyone else could, or you need to offer alternative material for those students.
I know we didn't get to everybody's question, and I think some of the questions that we did not answer is we're going to be emailing them responses back because it's more in-depth of an explanation.
Right.
Maybe we can just touch bases. There's resources at the in the YouTube where they can click on that.
So you have links to the resources, hopefully in the description here on YouTube. You can click on those and get to those. It'll give you what you need. You can go to the Canvas Instructor Guides. I think we have a link to that. And again, if you can't find what you need and you're comfortable going to a browser and searching for things, go to Google and type in Canvas and whatever you're working on, and odds are tons of pages will help you. One thing that helps a lot of people, and I do this a lot, is I go to YouTube and I search there. If I go to YouTube and type in Canvas, how to create an assignment, I'll get 50 videos on somebody walking me through the process of creating an assignment in Canvas. So the resources are there. I hope they help you, and please take advantage of all those you can right now, because like I said, unfortunately, we're usually working in small groups or individually with faculty. At this time, we're working with groups right now. we can't support a lot of individual questions, unfortunately, and again, I'm sorry for that. I know there's a lot of emails I haven't even gotten to yet, and given some people some really kind of short, not very good answers to what they're asking for, but that's just unfortunately where we are right now. And that's it?
That's it.
Okay, so that seems to be the questions that we have. Like Anna said, we will try our best to go back and look at those questions, and we'll respond back to you as soon as we can. We will be sending out a list for the mentor sessions as soon as we can, hopefully later this afternoon. And there will be other departmental trainings and things like that. Good luck, and I hope we all get through this.
We will. We shall get through this.